What is a herring? Simple facts for everyone. Hi, this is your host with Life Noggin. Have you ever heard of a herring? You might be thinking of a certain fish. But there is actually a type of fish that S, named after the word we use to describe that particular fish, and is often used to make fish and chips. They're mostly found in the northern hemisphere and are related to other fish, like anchovies and sardines. The word is harangue, and it's apparently an onomatopoeia, meaning a word that imitates the sound that it represents. Apparently the word was chosen to imitate the sound that the fish makes when it esked, being pulled out of the water. But if you ask me, it sounds more like the sound a rabbit might make while hopping through the woods. Ring. Ha 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 ha. But these aren't the only two names for these fish. In Scotland, they're called hay, and in Ireland, they're called hay. No, this isn't some weird Scottish-Irish fish feud. Turns out these names come from the Old Norse word for the fish, which was spelled like this. I pronounced A. Why? Probably nobody really knows for sure. And if you've ever had those tiny little fish in a can, well, there's a good chance that you've actually eaten a herring. If you can, leave a comment below and let us know. I'm your host. This has been Life Noggin. Don't forget to keep on thinking. The country is where our next fact takes place. Did you get it? It's Norway. And in Norway, they eat lots of these fish. Every year, the Norwegians eat about 46 pounds of herring per person. I guess they really love their fish and chips. Sometimes they're called pickled onions, or sometimes they're called Swedish fish, which is kind of confusing considering that they're not actually fish. Anyway, they come from the Baltic Sea and are prepared by soaking them in vinegar or brine. We're going to break it down for you right now. It's like calling a thing because it's a thing. Well, turns out the answer is kind of complicated. Nobody is 100% sure where the word herring came from, but cunning linguists have noted some interesting correlations. First off, the word herring, along with the word herring gull. Both entered the English language around the same time, both coming from an older word that meant seabird. What could they possibly have in common? Well, one theory says that since herring gulls often ate, and were often seen near the fish, the birds basically became synonymous with the salty fish. Basically, the theory goes like this. People started referring to the fish as herring because they were always hanging out with herring gulls. But the problem with this theory is that the fish was already being called a herring, long before the bird was given that name. So did the bird get its name from the fish instead? Maybe after all, another theory suggests that the word herring actually comes from the Old English word here, ness, meaning sea bay or inlet. Since these fish live in the sea, it would make sense that they would hang out in these areas. This correlates with the fact that the word her in ness also means to hurry, like perhaps these fish would hurry into these inlets and bays to feed. There's even some speculation that the word herring could have stemmed from the old French word harrison, meaning division or separation. Maybe the herrings were separated from other fish based on their unique characteristics. Fortunately, nobody knows for sure. First things first, what is a herring? Well, in simple terms, a herring is a small, cheap, oily fish that has a slightly salty taste. But wait a second, you may be saying, if herrings are salty, why do we call a salty fish a herring? That seems backwards. In fact, there's another word for these fish that's even more confusing. And speaking of places, maybe you can spot this country on a map. Thanks for watching.